Okay, so it's first thing in the morning, and I just want to try and finish this whole budget thing as quickly as I can before I have to go to work today, because I want to get it over with and be able to move on with my life. Okay, so basically in this video, I'm just going to go over the thoughts that I had whenever I was trying to, think of what could have been causing the discrepancy, and then basically tell you how long it took me to have those thoughts. Because I want to see if it's taking me a normal amount of time to come up with like possible solutions for something like this. Alright, so I wrote down these thoughts as I was having them the other day, so they're already written down and ready for me to talk about. So just for the sake of getting it over with, I'm just going to read right from what I have right here and just tell you how long it took for me to have that thought. So my first step is always to first just double check my receipts, double check my bank statement, make sure I put all the, numbers in correctly. That is usually just my go-to thing. It doesn't take me long to think about it all. Alright, possible solution number 1. My input is wrong. I actually made more money or spent less money than what I had recorded in the actual amount categories. I need to recheck my receipts and pay stubs. It took me 8 minutes to come up with that idea and to mentally make sure that that was a possibility. That's interesting because I just said that was the thing that that was my go-to thing, that I didn't have to think about it that much, and I just automatically did that. And I feel like that's true. I come down to the end, there's a discrepancy. It seems like it makes sense. The first thing I would do is just to make sure I put the numbers in right. But I remember I was there when I wrote this stuff down with these thoughts, and that thought, it did take me 8 minutes to come up with. So why, because I actually sat down and I was like, all right, I'm going to time myself and I'm going to have these thoughts. So why did it take me so long to come up with that thought, for that recording or for that, thought session, whatever, if it's normally my go-to thing? Did I just feel like I had to think about it extra long to make sure it was right because I knew that I was going to be having to share it in video? Or I don't know, I'm kind of confused by that, but... Alright, possible solution number 2. I actually started the month with more money than I had recorded. But can you really go back and check this? A mistake like this can trace back to several budgets ago. Is it worth it to look back through all of them to try and check? Or it can mean that I forgot to count some cash money last month. Is there a way to check if I had more cash last month than I counted? I don't know, I can't figure this part out. Is there a way to trace how much money I spent specifically from the cash I had on hand last month, since I recorded the starting amount for this month? If I can't trace how much I spent from last month's cash stack, I don't think I can figure this out if I don't remember how much cash I had on hand last month. I guess I could go back and check my bank account for how much I withdrew at the start of last month, and then look at my receipts to figure out how much I had left from that amount at the end of the month. But that only works if I had $0 in cash when I made the withdrawal. Otherwise, I'd have to keep tracing my steps back to figure that one out too. Okay, so it took me 18 minutes to develop that whole thought, and I have written down here that I felt a bit stressed, and like I was having to strain really hard to think during that thought. Alright, and I have one more thought here that I had recorded from when I was doing this. So, possible solution number 3. I messed up when I changed the budget to consider interest savings and transfers from my paycheck into savings. I stopped counting savings interest as income and started counting money I put into my savings from this paycheck as an expense. So I changed the formula to add or subtract what I gained or lost this month only to my cash and checking account, and I made a separate formula to keep track of how much money I was adding to my savings each month and how much interest I was making on it. Maybe I changed those two things, but the problem is I'm still using the wrong formula. That doesn't make sense because I still have more money in real life than I should have using that formula. Okay, it took me 10 minutes to develop that thought and to check and see if that could be the problem. Okay, so I know that none of these were really written that well. Again, I just kind of wrote them kind of as I had them, and I'm trying to just get this over with because it's not really panning out like it was supposed to, and I feel like I'm just repeating myself now, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. Make what you want of it, I don't know. It's done. I guess I'll make one last video after this, just kind of going over how I finally did move on from the problem and what I decided to do after this. That should be relatively short though, hopefully.